My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Virgos. I hope you all had a wonderful, beautiful birthday season, and happy belated to all beautiful Virgos if I haven't had a chance to grant you those birthday wishes before. But other than that, I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. Today I'm going to be doing your general reading, your past, present, future, your 9-card spread. I'm going to be using the regular tarot deck, clarify with the vampire deck, draw a special vampire card, draw the vampire oracle, and finish off with 3 yes or no answers for thee. So let's start with your reading. Okay, the general card is the King of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. You start off in the past with High Priestess reverse, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Queen of Swords, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. And then the Hierophant reverse, and this is an interesting thing, Taurus energy. Yeah, it looked like that. You pretty much, got, you pretty much, went down this kind of quest or voyage. You pretty much, got hit with something where you pretty much had no experience. And maybe this was something that was kind of like a first-timey event. And here you were actually creating this excellent, plan and strategy. But yet somehow, even though you pretty much just thought, okay, because you guys are really good, with planners. You guys are really good, excellent, looking ahead. You guys have this real good sense of, this intuition within yourself. But here it is pretty much that, you pretty much, didn't have experience. It's head down towards this voyage in the past, but yet you were planning something nonetheless. And here you were pretty much just thinking, well, it's like, I don't know if I want to pursue it anymore because I just don't feel committed or motivated or just, because, normally if we look at, especially the High Priestess, because, it's like, it's very, very interesting to see this power couple at least in the same row, and even if it took place in the past, because this is about having like all the upper book of knowledge, and this is about feeling committed towards something. But since it came in reversed, even though you were still trying to mend something or plan something, in the end you just pretty much just thought, you know what, we're just gonna have to change course, we're just gonna have to try something different. And sometimes that's actually a really good mindset to have, when something just doesn't work, no matter how many times you try to revive that moment, whatever it may be and stuff like that. If you know that it's just pointless just by putting a lot of, time and energy into it, that's just not going to be benefiting you, then it's good to actually, sometimes let go of something. Now in current times, you get the 9 of Swords, Nightmare. 10 of Cups, happy home, happy earth, and happy family, and abundance. And then here is Ace of Swords of not putting time and effort into something. You see, this is what this is what I see you doing, is you're still trying to revive this moment of whatever wasn't benefiting and working out in your past and stuff like that. Because, it's like, by having to let go of something because you don't feel committed or motivated to it, it's putting you in a sense of thinking, this is one big giant nightmare. Yeah, that's kind of the thing is, sometimes when you have to make that big choice and decision, no matter how hard it is, when you just say, no, there's still, this possibility, I just cannot let go. You are definitely, a mutable sign for that matter, so, you're not entirely fixed to say, okay, it has to happen, one way or the other, stuff like that. Otherwise, it's just game over. No. Well, the thing about mutable signs is you guys have this very beautiful idea of thinking, okay, it's like, it looks incredibly promising, but then eventually you just think, you know what, we're just going to have to change course. So here you were still trying to mend something. You were still trying to find the motivation within yourself, maybe from your friends, your family, to ask for support. And then in the end, you pretty much, maybe you ask them for guidance and advice to say, well, what do I do in a situation like this? And then, they mostly probably advise you to say, just kind of let go of it and try something different. And that is very, 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 very hard. Just don't ever get me wrong about some of these moments, because the thing is when you will still try to find, that sense of, like that there's still hope. And so sometimes that could actually be, a wonderful, like gift in the end, when you still realize that there's still that, tiny bit of hope, and then suddenly it turns into this wonderful, beautiful outcome. But the thing is, there's never a guarantee for anything for that matter. So that's why sometimes it's best just to kind of think, okay, I tried, but it just didn't work out. So in the future, the sun reverses, and it's interesting because Leo actually comes before you. So you get Leo energy. 3 of Cups. And then you get the Knight of Cups. Okay, so maybe by having to let go of something, you could be faced with an unforeseen offering. And this is kind of like the unforeseen in the sense where, I mean, we're technically heading off towards darker times. Thank goodness for that. I really, could barely keep it together with the spring and summer times. But it could be that this could be taking place in the fall time, around darker times, but this could also be an unforeseen offering that's going to be taking place. And it's actually, a very beautiful offering because, you are going to be, celebrating this beautiful offering heading towards you. And that's a very beautiful thing is well, sometimes, when you have to change course, when you have to actually, maybe change careers for that matter, or maybe even relocate, yes, it's very difficult. And, take all the time you need to recover and rest up as much as possible. But however, if you know that's going to be definitely benefiting you in the future, then sometimes it's good just to kind of have those sacrificial moments in your life. Because off to clarification we go. So you got the High Priestess reverse. This was kind of like a first time new journey or new job that you were heading down towards in other ways. And deep down you pretty much just thought, goodness, this is my first time doing this. I don't know if I can handle this. This is like, something I've never come across before. And, be rest assured, as if you ever felt like that, is sometimes, this is like, I think a lot of humans, they feel, when they're about to start something new, they pretty much just think it's all just a foreign language to me. I just don't understand it. I don't know if I can even handle this. It's like, well, for some people, that's why they don't like to relocate or even go to a different country, because if they don't speak the language and stuff, then they're kind of worried about, well, thinking, oh goodness, it's like, how will I be able to handle it? Well, the thing is nothing ventured is nothing gained, but here it's kind of like having this uncertainty about going down this new path and voyage, about trying something new and different. Now, with the Queen of Swords, you have this excellent planning, exactly where you're heading off towards. You get the Ace of Swords of putting time and effort into something. So at least you're trying something, or at least putting time and effort into something, because that's also kind of like with any kind of learning experience, because with any kind of first timing moment in any person's life, even for my life, I mean, I'll tell you now, the first time, it's like my mother actually taught me, tarot, when I was a youngling and stuff like that. So the first time I actually opened up shop in my area and stuff like that, I was terrified. But of course, I had my mother mostly, hanging around the store area, just kind of just making sure, that everything was still going to work out and stuff like that, and that, well, no person was ever going to pose any potential harm to me and stuff like that. So at least I still had my happy home, happy earth, happy family in that aspect back then. But here, it's like you finally are putting time and effort into something, and this is actually a very good step to take. Because with the Hierophant, you don't feel committed in the end. You tried something, but it just didn't work out. Fair enough. That's the thing is, you tried it and it just didn't work out. And then you get hit with the Five of Wands of actually, well, maybe you did suffer from maybe some internal conflict of some kind. I'm not per se getting like anything with, competition per se, unless that means anything to you in other ways. But here it's like, mostly thinking, goodness, I just don't feel, committed to this a new job, this new career, this new path, and now I just don't know if I can handle anything right now. And that's the deep and sad and hard truth about many things, is with any kind of new beginnings, it's like sometimes it could be a bit of a rough start for that matter, but then eventually as you gradually get into the routine of something, just like how, well, your second full moon talks about getting into routine. Well, the thing is sometimes these, moments, they take a bit of extra time, and even though, well, let's say, the first 2 weeks of your new career, and everything goes well, but then the last 2 weeks, they pretty much just get, hit with an unforeseen, like, Five of Wands moments, stuff like that, and then you just think, goodness, I don't know if I can handle this right now. Because in current times with the Nine of Swords, you do get justice. Now, you could be actually facing a legal matter. I mean, it's interesting because it's like even Leo, got legal, or, even got justice reversed. But here, you could be actually facing a nightmare situation and be faced with this legal moment and stuff like that. But it could also be, where you're actually trying to keep yourself as grounded and stable as possible despite, your current nightmare or worries or uncertainties. Because you are a grounded earth sign, it's like, next to Capricorn and Taurus. I mean, of course, we have Taurus here. But the thing about this is that, it's like you're still trying to keep yourself as balanced as possible and to think, okay, we may have been hit with a bit of a rough patch or maybe a bit of a setback or whatever it is that humans use for metaphors in other ways. But we still need to keep as calm and balanced as possible. And that's kind of a really good, mindset and trait to have, is to keep yourself grounded and realistic thinking. Okay, we may have been, hit with a bit of a setback or a bit of a hiccup, whatever it is that humans use, but yet, keeping yourself able, stable and grounded and balanced is important. So here, happy home, happy earth, happy family, or abundance, or combined, you get the Daughter of Knives, also known as the Page of Swords. So now you pretty much, could be faced with a wonderful, beautiful abundance opportunity that's actually accentuating this outgoingness about you. Wonderful. And that's the thing is, it's like when you pretty much have the resources, you have the money, you have the time and effort, what have you, or even, so much support from your loved ones, that could also accentuate so much motivation on wanting to get out and head off maybe towards a different outcome, or maybe to say, okay, it's like, maybe you did get hit with some kind of unforeseen setback, but as long as you just keep at it and stuff like that, then in the end, something will definitely benefit you. And that's kind of what I see you doing, is you pretty much just have the motivation again to actually, get back out because you're telling yourself it's going to be okay. So despite not having the desire to want to put time and effort into something, you get one of your beautiful cards, the Queen of Pentacles. So here you are pretty much just thinking, oh goodness, here we go back again to the same building, to the same people, to the same boss, to the same colleagues. I have no motivation whatsoever, but yet here you are still doing it either way, and that's very important on so many levels. Is sometimes, you'd hope that all of this kind of like your motivation comes naturally, but sometimes you have to push yourself and actually force yourself during any kind of situation. That's always going to be okay either way, because the thing is it's like I had to practically force myself as well. So I pretty much feel myself in today's reading. So the thing is even though you are mutable sign and I'm cardinal, the thing is it's like sometimes you do have to, I'll say, this is the last thing I feel like having to be doing, and then you're pretty much just dragging your feet, you're pretty much just kind of swaying around, you just feel imbalanced, you feel uncertain, you're just thinking, I just don't want to do this, but then deep down inside, you'll have to do it either way, and that's what I see you doing. So either, it's like you could be facing a lack of clarity, or maybe the sun is down, or maybe this is taking place during fall times. You get abundance. So the thing is it's not quite like the happy home, happy hearth, happy family again, but you're still getting something very beautiful in the end. So maybe eventually, this is kind of like the routine, the unforeseen situation that's actually, helping you find the sense of thinking everything is going to work out again. I mean, this could also be your upcoming paycheck, your salary that you're pretty much going to be, embracing, with the Nine of Pentacles and stuff. So it's pretty much like today's reading is based off of that. You could be facing some internal struggles and worries, but outside of that, it looks like, that sometimes you do have to push yourself and just say, okay, of course, well, for me, I had to get myself out of my coffin after so many years and just say, nope, if you keep this up, it's not going to benefit you anyway and stuff like that. And so I pretty much had to force myself in so many ways to actually get myself, restarted on so many ways, but yet, and that's kind of what I see you doing as well. Three of Cups, celebratory occasion taking place, and then you get the Prince of Scepters. So this is maybe, we're celebrating like your first, month or your first, moment of this new job and career and stuff like that. And there's so much, passionate motivation taking place. I love this for you. And even though we are outside of your birthday season, normally, it's like you would hope that all of these beautiful cards and moments would take place during your birthday season to accentuate your own true self. But sometimes, even if it's outside, it's nice to still get these beautiful readings, even if it's not particularly in your own season for that matter. But here, you're going to regain your sense of self again. I saw you kind of struggling in the past, but now here you're in a moment of routine, maybe in a different mindset, maybe everything is just finally, working out and benefiting you because you get your beautiful second new moon that's backing you up. We'll love this. So for the Knight of Cups, you get the second Knight of Cups again. So you're going to be getting, this wonderful, beautiful sense of clarity and offering, just like how the general card today is about the King of Cups. There's definitely this beautiful, clear offering taking place in other ways, and it's pretty much just going to actually, open up more doors of opportunities and what have you and so forth. But it's definitely, your senses and intuition, will feel like it's a really good offering taking place, and it just looks incredibly promising in other ways. I mean, my goodness. I just see so much healing as well. I see so much nurturing, love, support in other ways as well. I mean, of course, you can have Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio placements. But then you do get hit in the future with the Five of Cups. What's going on here? I mean, I'm wondering, if you're kind of worried about the future, of thinking, well, so far everything is working out in my favor, but when is the next shoe of, disparity and unhappiness going to suddenly drop? The thing is, there's no guarantee for anything about the future. I mean, there's no guarantee that I was actually going to be living a beautiful human life in any way. My parents, they brought me into this world with my siblings in other ways. But then I also got hit with this Five of Cups, or even Ten of Swords, or even Three of Swords for that matter. But here, you could potentially be worried mostly about the future, of thinking, when is the next metaphorical shoe going to drop, or I'm actually going to be feeling imbalanced and unhappy again. But I don't really particularly see you actually heading towards unhappiness, or maybe that offering could potentially lead to potential unhappiness moment in your life. But again, it's like I'm just your tarot guide reader, and this is just a general reading. So Oracle wants to say Menad, madness, ecstatic ritual, and energy release. So this is actually an interesting card, because it's like, you see all this foliage here. It's like, well, plants are like earth and stuff like that. I mean, the thing is, it's like, I think, if you want to follow your beautiful new moon, is to actually get into the routine of something, is to do actually maybe an ecstatic ritual and energy release. And the thing is, this is kind of like just either forcing yourself to kind of go with the flow, or it's kind of creating a sense of routine of actually, getting back in the saddle, metaphorically speaking, and thinking, okay, it's like we're still in the first chapter of our next book of life, or our next phase and stuff like that. And now we're going to have to try to find the sense of, routine again. Wow. Yeah, and that's what I love about new moons, and especially that you get a second new moon, is that that's kind of like the renewal of each zodiac sign for that matter. So, I'm going to finish off with 3 yes or no answers. Please feel free to pause the video and think about the questions you want answered. For number 1, you do get a no with the Page of Pentacles reversed. I'm not allowed to show this, and you get another no. Speaking of Capricorn energy, it's another no with the Devil upright. And then you get a third no with the Eight of Wands reversed. So you get 3 no's in today's reading, and hopefully they'll still benefit you either way. My beautiful Virgos, I'm going to have to leave it at this for now. But if this reading benefited anybody or resonated, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, I'm going back to love readings, but I'm also open for personal readings. If anybody is ever interested in a personal reading, always let me know in the comments section below that you want a personal reading from me, and then I'll respond to you with my email. And please feel free to check out this web link with the different prices on it. But other than that, please feel free to always, check and browse for more vampire knowledge, because, for my next reading, I'm going to probably, start bringing back the Dracula readings and stuff like that. And please feel free to stay tuned for more stories, because, the upcoming story is going to be about the Carter brothers and stuff like that. And I actually have a very important little story that I want to add to it as well. But also, please feel free to stay tuned for the upcoming All Hallows Eve performance of the Danse Macabre. But other than that, I love you guys incredibly. Thank you so much for joining me today again, and I love you guys.